I'm Chloe.
I'm Sophie.
And we're doing a skit that we wrote, and it shows how much we love Chris and some of the funny things that we know about him.
Chris Hodge, the pastor of Naperville Presbyterian Church, decided to find out who kept his church running by going undercover. Unfortunately, his friends and parishioners know him too well and found him out. On this episode of Undercover Pastor, we find out what gave Pastor Chris away.
Hi, I'm Sarah B. Edgar from Undercover Pastor. Excuse me, miss, but what gave it away for you that it was actually Pastor Chris in disguise?
I knew it was Chris immediately. I was working as a barista with him in the coffee bar. Excuse me. And I was telling him important things, like showing him how to refill the ice maker and telling him not to reuse the ice that fell on the floor and not to take any sodas from the fridge. So it seemed like it was fine, so I left him to go to second service. But when I came back, all of the Diet Pepsi was gone. He made me go to Walgreens to get some more. I knew immediately that it had to be our pastor. The Pepsi was a dead giveaway.
Who knew soda could be a giveaway? Oh, excuse me, miss, but you had a finance intern who was obviously not who you said he was. Is that right?
That is right. I made a calculated guess. Actually, it wasn't that hard to figure out. I was working with Chris doing the budgets, but the entire time he was watching football on his phone. I mean, you can't just casually check the scores every 30 seconds. I knew he was distracted because every time I asked him what the total was for children's ministries, he shouted, "Touchdown!" Crazy. But I knew it had to be him. I mean, my finance intern was more obsessed with the SEC than balancing numbers.
Well, the next time I want to watch football instead of working, I'll remember not to shout. So I believe the next job our pastor did was as an intern as a landscaper. So how did this job go awry?
In so many ways. Chris obviously didn't know that we were going to be fixing the sprinkler system because he showed up in a seersucker suit, bow tie, and cowboy boots. He spent the whole time trying to keep his new pocket square from getting wet. I was pretty frustrated until the sprinkler system was turned on and sprayed him in the face. I laughed pretty hard at that. I knew it was Chris because nobody can get soaking wet and still look good in a bow tie but our pastor.
That's great. Remind me to get a bow tie. So I believe the last place our pastor got busted was as an intern in children's ministries. So please tell me this story.
Well, it started out fine. We were covering the story of Noah's Ark, and I just finished showing intern Chris for the Animal Cracker store. He was doing so well, I thought, no harm in letting the new intern cover today's story. It's Noah's Ark. It's not that hard to tell. Well, he launched into a 3-point discussion with PowerPoint and quotes from John Calvin and Keller. After 7 points, I had to cut him off because the parents were there to pick up the kids. All he had to do was cover the story of Noah's Ark. The 7-year-olds would have loved it. I mean, classic Bible story, good message, and animals. But no. I knew immediately it was our pastor. No one can turn Noah's Ark into 7 points except for him.
Noah's Ark now has a whole new meaning for me. So on this episode of Undercover Pastor, we found out that the friends and parishioners of Pastor Chris Hodge cannot be fooled. Sorry, we know the quirks of our pastor too well and found out his disguise. So on the next, thank you so much for all that you do, and we are so thankful that we have such an awesome man for our pastor. On the next episode of Undercover Pastor, we will be following Pastor Nate Conrad as he goes undercover to find out more about his new church.